It's a matter of witnessing. We said there's two main spiritual practices, meditation and contemplation. Meditation serves its purposes at specific times in your life, but you can't live there because you won't cross the first street. To get enlightened, you can't get taken out by the bus, you know. All right, so meditation, we're just finishing a book. No, we're finishing two books simultaneously as we knock off the tail of the last one, 3 books. In one of the books, anyway, has to do with meditation and contemplation as a specific subject. Meditation has its place. It's very specific, it's very focused. It always talks about one-pointedness of mind, but it leads in, to me, meditation can also become a diversion. Many are the meditators, few are the enlightened. And there's reasons for it, which we do cover in the lectures. Because meditation is somewhat removed from life. For 20 years or something, I did it for an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, see? But if your life gets busy, then you begin to skip it. You take a class on meditation, you do a workshop, and boy, you're enthusiastic as all get out. You know, for maybe 4 or 6 months. And then until you get sick and visits, and well. So you abandon it because it's not who you are. It's something you're doing. And it becomes held dualistically. There's a me that's meditating. A me here and now that's a meditating then and there. So it's not really you. And very often, I think, there's deviations that are labeled meditation, but they're really methods of achieving altered states of consciousness. And when you stop whatever the thing is you're doing, the altered state of consciousness disappears. And the states that arise in sort of, to me, artificially induced states are transitory. They're called satori. They come and they go. And you can stand up and walk around and open your eyes to disappear. Transitory. They are useful in another way because they give you a glimpse that there is another dimension, another experiential dimension. There is another experiential dimension there. And of course, the difficulty, as we pointed out in the lectures, and we'll probably cross over it again today, is the idea that one can catch the space between two thoughts. There isn't any space between two thoughts, folks. And nobody's ever found it. So we'll clarify that. It's the space prior to the thoughts out of which all thoughts arise, a common field. So contemplation then is a lifestyle, a way of being in the world. And first it's a disciplined practice. Eventually that's the reality of who you have become. There is no this and that because you are that to begin with. So that state, that condition that you contemplate, the reason it works is because it is you. Isn't that funny? You imitate your real self artificially. Oh, everything's beautiful. Yes. They're trying to say everything's beautiful. But that's a steam engine. Is that beautiful? You know what I mean? Well, I'm supposed to see its beauty, so you stand back.